Okay, so I'm going to take a break and shift gears from what we've been talking about in the previous messages to address some things from a message I made about a year ago. I made a message called Praying for a Husband or Wife, what you need to know. And I got a great response from that video. I've been getting a lot of inboxes with different questions, prayer requests, and whatnot as it related to that video. The link will be up there so you can go to that video and watch it if you would like to. But just to like recap, in that video, I talked about, I touched briefly on about not entertaining the in-between person that you know you're not supposed to be with, just so you'll have something to do. A lot of people have been asking me questions about, well, what is it that they should do because they want to be married, and this is coming from men and women. They want to be married, they want a wife, they want a husband, they've been praying. What else is it that they should do besides trusting and waiting? Besides trusting God and waiting. These are some questions and some things that were dropped on my spirit that we should do. These are some things that were dropped into my spirit about things that we have to take a look at, and some things that we can work on while we're in the in-between time. Now, there are some questions that we have to impart to ourselves. One of those questions is, what is your attitude about dating? Your attitude about dating, your attitude about relationships, the opposite sex, affects what type of experiences you will have. You draw whatever is in you. You've heard the term, don't be a nickel out there looking for a dime. In other words, you need to be what it is you're looking for, you're hoping to receive or to draw into you. However, your attitude about dating and relationships, if it is a negative thing, if you have a negative idea, for example, there really aren't that many good men out there. All the good men are taken. It's only a few, and those few they're either dating somebody or blah, 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 whatever the excuse is. If that's the idea that you have in your head, you're going to keep experiencing that same thing. You probably will keep running into guys that aren't any good, or keep running into that guy that is great, or that woman that is great, but he or she is already attached to someone, if that's the mentality that you've taken on about dating. So you definitely have to refocus what your perspective is on dating. And let's go back to trusting God. If you believe that God has someone just for you, if you are trusting, if you're praying to God about a husband, you're praying to God about a wife, and you're trusting him, and you really are believing him to bring that person to you, why does it matter what the statistics say? Because God, he is God. So he will shape and mold and create someone just for you. They might not be that person now, and that's why things take time. He has to work on that person. He has to work on you. You're not the same person you were 10 years ago. So that person might not have been what you wanted 10 years ago. But hello, if you met them today, it's something different. So we have to trust God to work on the people who he has for us. So don't worry about what the statistics say. Have a positive attitude about dating and what's out there. And just believe there's something out there that's just for you. Now, going beyond asking yourself, what's your attitude about dating? What's your attitude about yourself? Are you too arrogant? Is your self-esteem too low? Do you feel like you deserve that person? I know sometimes people have an idea of what they want. This is the type of man I want. This is the type of woman I want. But then they disqualify themselves because they feel like this type of woman, this type of man is out of their league, or they're not of a high enough financial status to get that woman or to get that man, or they're not pretty enough, or they're not thick enough, or they're not thin enough to get this guy. So are you disqualifying yourself by what you feel about yourself? Because how we feel about ourselves, that'll come off. We're gonna attract what's in us. We don't really attract what we want. We attract what we are. We attract what we believe. So you want to draw somebody to you based off what you believe about yourself. So if you're thinking lower about yourself, if you think that a certain type of person is out of your league, you're going to draw people who aren't going to see you on that level. You're not going to draw that person because you're seeing yourself as lower. And then if you do get that type of person, don't lower your standards because you think that they're out of your league, because the right one will stick. So don't downgrade yourself. Don't downgrade, meaning don't tolerate things that you normally wouldn't tolerate because you feel like that person is too good for you anyway. That's not the right attitude to have, because if you take on that mindset, you're going to continue to encounter problems. So take the time to figure out who you are, understand that you do deserve God's best for you, and don't downgrade yourself. Don't disqualify yourself. Don't disqualify yourself from the blessing that God has for you. Another thing I would say is, again, watch who you're talking to, watch what you're saying, watch what you're watching on TV. Watch the lyrics of the songs that you're listening to, because those things, going back to the beginning about what's your attitude about dating, the things that the people you talk to are saying, the things that you're watching on TV affect your attitude about dating, and it can affect your arrogancy. It can affect your self-esteem when it comes to relationships and dating. Let me say this, newsflash, reality TV is not the prototype at all. That's not what you want to follow. I hear lyrics to songs on the radio, and this isn't putting any particular artist or anything on blast, but there are some lyrics to some songs. If you're listening to those things and you're repeating those lyrics over and over because the tune is catchy, guess what? That's what you're going to start believing. If you're constantly listening to a song that's talking about these guys ain't nothing, they're all players, they're not faithful, these chicks ain't loyal, guess what? You're going to eventually start to think like that. If it's something that you repeatedly listen to and you're repeatedly saying, it will begin to affect what you believe. And guess what? That's going to cause insecurity issues, and that's going to cause problems. What if you do meet the right one, but because what you see on TV, what your friends are telling you about their situations, what their opinion is about, whether or not they're good men or good women left, that all affects you. And you're going to carry that into those situations. So you really have to be careful about who you're talking to when it comes to relationships and dating. And you have to be careful about what you're looking at and what you're watching. I know a lot of people say it's just a song, it's just TV. All of those things affect us, whether we want to accept it or not. What we see, what we hear, they have an effect. Consistent of the same type of thing is going to be effective. And if you don't believe that, that's going to be a problem. And the most important thing is just make sure you're maximizing yourself to the fullest as much as you can in the moment that you're in. Because the biggest thing for you to do is, while you're single and you haven't met that person, focus on you, find out what you like, find out what works for you. Take this time to enhance your relationship with yourself, enhance your relationship with God. Because I say this all the time, when that person comes, it's great, it's wonderful, but they're going to have their life, so you better keep yours. So you still need to have your own life, have your own friends. And when you spend that time with yourself, while you're still single and you're still waiting on that person, it builds up your confidence, it builds up your security. You get to know more about yourself and who you are, and that builds a lot of more security when you meet that person, because now I know exactly who I am. I don't need someone else to validate me. So a person can't come to me crazy and try to make me feel less about myself, because I know who I am, I know what I deserve. So I don't have to disqualify myself or downgrade myself to be with anybody. Okay, so those are just some things that were dropped on me to share with you all based off of all of the questions and some of the messages I was getting from the previous video. Until next time, you guys stay blessed.